Have you ever thrown everything at a mix only to have it sound as wide as a strand of spaghetti? Yeah, it sucks. But today we're zeroing in on a technique that's gonna change this all for the better. Haas Delay. It's mind-bogglingly simple, and it's gonna be your ticket out of Flatland. Ready to add some width to your mix? Let's dive in. The never-ending quest for a wide mix. Something that every producer, from the bedroom beatmaker to the Billboard chart toppers, has fretted about. You know the drill. You're tweaking the EQ, meddling with the compressor, panning like Picasso, and then you play it back. And what do you get? A mix that sounds like it's been steamrolled. Congrats, you've entered the Hall of Flatness in Flat City. Look, I'm not here to be a dream crusher. Quite the opposite. I'm here to offer you an escape route. An alternative that won't leave your mix sounding like it was flattened by a road roller. So if you're tired of flat mixes that have the depth of a puddle, it's time to move on to the good stuff, the Haas Delay. So what is this mythical beast called Haas Delay? No, it's not the name of the latest hipster indie band, although that would be pretty cool. In its simplest form, Haas Delay is all about delaying one channel, left or right, by a tiny amount, usually between 10 to 35 milliseconds. This minuscule delay tricks your brain into perceiving a sense of width and space in the sound, making your mix sound wider without turning it into a hot mess. But hold on a minute, before you rush off to slap Haas Delay on every single track, you need to understand how this works in the context of the mix and what potential pitfalls you might run into. Because let me tell you, misuse Haas Delay and you won't be widening your mix, you'll be widening the gap between you and good music production. Let's take a look at how to make this effect happen and what it sounds like and when it might get to be a bit too much to chew. So here we have a demo of a song that I've been working on, and I want to add Haas Delay to a couple of different elements in the mix to make them wider and stick out more. Here's what the end of the verse into this chorus part sounds like.
There, where we kissed under the marble stairs, to remind us of the days before we're old and gray, the ones we'd never trade.
To demonstrate this Haas Delay, I'm gonna actually just put it on my main vocal at first so you can hear what it sounds like. After all of these other effects, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna add delay, and I'm gonna go sample delay. Logic has a great plugin that will do Haas Delay very easily for you. So now, if I go delay right or delay left, and I find the sweet spot of Haas Delay, which is between 10 and 35 milliseconds, I'd say, you're going to hear that this vocal suddenly becomes way wider. Take a listen.
To remind us of the days before we're old and gray.
We can play around with this knob to hear different versions. We can go above 35 milliseconds a bit, maybe up to 45, but as soon as we go around 50 milliseconds, it won't sound like one cohesive unit, it will sound like multiple instruments. Check this out. Its effectiveness can really vary depending on the instrument, the tempo, and even the mood you're trying to convey. Trust your ears, and if it sounds weird, just take it off. Now let's put this in an actual mix context on an instrument. Take a listen to this vocoder by itself. I already have a lot of things making it a little bit wider than it should be, but I want it to be extremely wide. So actually, after this chorus, I'm going to go to sample delay, and I'm going to delay that right in milliseconds. I'll click on, and I'm going to go 15 milliseconds right in our home sweet home range. Now take a listen. Now let's listen to it with the voice.
I can't explain it. With words, it's too hard.
That vocoder is really wide now, and that's exactly what I want it to be in the mix. We have other things that are taking up the middle of the frequency spectrum, but we want this to be really wide to give that sense of grandiosity.
And I can't explain it. With words, it's too hard. Let's never stray.
Really cool.
From right where we are, where we are.
Feel free to use automation to change these Haas Delay times as well dynamically throughout the track. Now, here's the worst part about adding a Haas Delay. You always and always should check your mix in mono. As you spread your things out across the stereo spectrum, sometimes you can run into phase issues. Now, some audio interfaces have the ability to just click on mono, just like mine, but for this, I'll show you how to do it with a plugin. So let's go to Utility, Gain, and we'll click on mono right there, and this will sum everything to mono.
World fades away.
We want to make sure our vocoder is still coming through. Obviously not as loud as it would be stereo, but let's check it without the sample delay. So I'm running into a couple of phase issues here, but it's nothing I'm too concerned about. I can still hear the signal okay. It's not going to be as great as if it was if I didn't have it on. It's not going to be as powerful, but that's part of the way that happens when you widen something so much. I'm not too concerned here. I'll turn it on and off mono so you can hear the difference.
World fades away when you're in my arms.
Awesome stuff. That is the basics of Haas Delay, a super simple but an easy way to add some width to your tracks. And now on to the don'ts of Haas Delay. Haas Delay is like a hot sauce. A little can add a kick, too much will burn your mouth and ruin the feel. Generally, Haas Delays shouldn't really be used in low frequencies. Bass and those widening effects just don't work together well. The phase is going to end up with a muddy mix. And like I mentioned before, check your mix in mono. If your mix starts to sound hollow or loses punch, it's probably a phase issue. Reevaluate your delay settings and see if you want to use something else instead of Haas Delay to make them more wide. Haas Delay isn't a one-size-fits-all magic wand. I wish it were that simple, but we're not in a Disney movie. Got to be cautious about using Haas Delay. It can quickly turn from a boon to a bane if misapplied. So be smart, be cautious, and above all else, listen. We're stepping away from the flat mix society, one Haas effect at a time. And if you want to learn more tips and tricks about music production with a dash of mild humor, go and subscribe to our newsletter, 5 Beat Friday, where we'll deliver 5 quick bullet points every Friday about the music production world to up your game. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel for more. Peace, love, and wide mixes.